How's it going, everyone? Innovative J-Dog here, and welcome to another video talking about the upcoming Miles Morales game for the PlayStation 5. One of my first ever videos on this channel was a wish list for alternate suits that I was wanting to see in Marvel's Spider-Man for the PlayStation 4. A lot of them I surprisingly predicted correctly. So today I wanted to do a similar video talking about the next game in Insomniac's Spider-Man universe. However, before we begin, I wanted to point out a very old tweet that Insomniac themselves posted a little bit after the release of Spider-Man PS4, where a fan had asked why they didn't include the Miles Morales Spiderverse suit. Insomniac replied to this tweet asking, "Why would Peter wear Miles' suit? Despite us being able to have Peter wear the suits of several different Spider-Men, such as Miguel O'Hara and Ben Reilly. This was most likely their way of avoiding telling us that they intended on making Miles a playable character later on down the line." So with that tweet in mind, I want to try and keep this list strictly about Miles Morales costumes, but there's not really a whole lot of them out there, so you might see a few different costumes slip into this list that Miles has never worn. With all that being said though, I hope you enjoy the rest of this video and leave your own personal wish list down in the comments. Without any further ado, let's see a few honorable mentions and then hop right into my top 15 alternate suits wish list for Marvel Spider-Man Miles Morales. Number 15, the 616 Origin Suit. Making its debut in Spider-Man 2016's Annual Number 1, the 616 Origin Suit serves as one of the many different outfits that Miles has worn at the start of his Spider-Man career before donning his iconic red and black outfit. While the story this suit is attached to didn't have any real impact, and its only purpose was to give Miles a proper backstory in the Earth 616 universe, the 616 Origin Suit is given the chance to stand apart from the lackluster storytelling thanks to its interesting design. Basically, this suit is Miles' own version of the homemade suit seen in Spider-Man Homecoming, borrowing several design traits as well as serving as a quick, makeshift suit so Miles can stand up against a group of Skrulls. I really like the fact that Miles incorporates Timbs into this outfit because it really drives home the idea that he's just a kid from Brooklyn, and I also appreciate the toned down paler colors utilized within this suit. It helps differentiate itself from the brighter homemade suit from the MCU. While it wouldn't be my first pick for an alternate costume, I feel as though the 616 Origin Suit is very likely going to appear in this game due to how unique it is and how recent it made its debut. Number 14, the Maiar Suit. Miles Morales The End isn't really a good story, and the artwork is pretty awful in my opinion, so much so that it's pretty hard to find any enjoyment out of the story, which is a shame. But while the story may not be good and despite the artwork being terrible, there is one thing I thought was pretty cool from this one-off comic, and that was the costume worn by an old man Miles Morales. Referred to as the Mayor throughout the entire story, this Miles Morales outfit fits in perfectly with the apocalyptic world we're introduced to. The futuristic aspect of this suit is really cool thanks to the glowing eyes on the costume and that awesome looking hoodie attached to the top portion of the suit. However, the main aspect of this suit that appeals to me are the red camouflage pants, as they really help give the suit an extra layer of character and drive forward the urban warfare side of the storyline. Honestly, it's one of the more unique Miles Morales costumes out there, and it sucks that it's attached to such a lackluster storyline. Because of that, I want more people to be exposed to this suit in a much better storyline through the Miles Morales game. I think it would look best if Insomniac took away that gut that the old man Miles had in the story and gave it some sort of cel-shaded animated look to match the comic that it's attached to. Maybe they can make it look quirky and weird, kinda like what they did with the Spider-Clan outfit. Number 13, the game model from Ultimate Spider-Man 2005. This alternate suit is sort of a stretch, and I'm pretty certain that I'm one of the only 5 people who would like to see this become a reality, but I want there to be a costume that uses the exact same game model as seen in 2005's Ultimate Spider-Man video game. Sure, it would look really goofy, and the game model would be very outdated in comparison to models being shown off on the PlayStation 5, but how great would it be running around as a walking piece of nostalgia? If you're unsure about this idea, take a look at Super Mario Odyssey, where 2 of the alternate costumes there in that game were models seen from Super Mario 64, one of the first few games that introduced the 3D platformer we know today, and no doubt one of the most popular titles in the world of gaming. If Super Mario Odyssey can pay homage to the gaming history of its character, I would absolutely love to see it if Spider-Man received the same treatment. Of course, I'm sure there's some people who would prefer seeing the game model from the Spider-Man 2000 game, and while that would also be fantastic, I personally would be more excited to see 2005's Ultimate Spider-Man make a reappearance, considering it's one of my favorite Spider-Man games out there, and it ties back into the fact that Miles made his original debut within the Ultimate Universe. Number 12. The Astronaut Suit. Spider-Man Life Story is easily one of my more favorite Spider-Man stories in recent years. Even though Miles Morales isn't a major character up until the final issue, I highly recommend you check it out if you're in tune with Spider-Man lore, spanning across his entire history, and want a new and unique story. However, I'm not here to review Life Story. Instead, I want to talk about the astronaut suit that Miles uses throughout issue 6. At its core, the astronaut suit is another one of those differing designs based on the iconic red and black Miles Morales suit. However, I believe there's enough changes within the suit to justify it making a spot within this game. How great would it be to swing around at night with that holographic glowing astronaut helmet? Maybe Insomniac could throw in some of their own personal flares to balance out the remainder of the suit, with more holographic lights similar to how they adjusted and remastered some of Spidey's iconic costumes from the first game. Who knows though, but I just know it would be a real treat to include this suit due to how much I love the storyline of Life Story. Number 11. The new Ben Reilly Scarlet Spider Suit. If you've been around my channel ever since the very beginning, you may remember my top 15 alternate suits wishlist video for Spider-Man PS4. While that video is very dated and terrible in comparison to my recent content, one of the suits I mentioned in that video was the new Ben Reilly Scarlet Spider outfit, and my opinion on that suit hasn't changed at all. I know a lot of people thought this suit was very ugly, especially with that whole mouth indent on the mask thing, but aside from that, this is a really cool looking costume, and I'm still waiting to see it make its debut within a Spider-Man video game. I feel like with Miles' body type being very similar to the way Ben Reilly is drawn in this suit, and with how often we see hoods attached to his costumes, the new Ben Reilly Scarlet Spider costume would fit very well alongside the remainder of the alternate costumes I have on this list. Number 10. SpiderMan India. I'll admit, I've never been the biggest fan of Spider-Man India's costume. It might just be because I've never read any stories focusing on the character, or maybe I've always found something odd about the costume that I can't really pinpoint. I've had similar problems to Spider-Man 1602, but the reason why I like that suit more is because of how often I've seen it appear in Spider-Man games, most notably in Shattered Dimensions. But now, I think I'm finally starting to come around on Spider-Man India, and I think it's finally time to see him in a game. So what better way to introduce his costume than by incorporating it into Marvel's Spider-Man Miles Morales? I can see this costume being a very likely inclusion, and it could serve as one of the more outrageous costumes seen within the game, similar to the Spirit Spider and Spider-Punk outfits seen in Spider-Man PS4. Not only would it represent the wackiness of the Spider-Verse, but I think the body type and skin tone of Pavatir Prabhakar, forgive me for my pronunciation, would fit perfectly as an alternate costume for Miles Morales. Number 9. The Ultimates Suits. Now, I know at the beginning of the video I said that I was going to try and keep this list strictly about Miles and not include that many suits worn by Peter Parker, but I just have to include the beautiful suits shown off in issue 200 of Ultimate Comics Spider-Man. I'm also going to cheat a bit more and include a lot more than one single suit in this slot, but considering none of them were actually worn in person and were only seen in character dreams and were also only seen on one page respectively, I figured why not talk about them all. Of course, the major suit that I'd want to see in the Miles Morales game is what I'd like to refer to as the Ultimates costume. This red and gold costume seen in Mary Jane's dream is very reminiscent of the Iron Spider costume from the 616 universe, albeit with a few changes, such as the glowing neon eyes. In Mary Jane's dream, Peter dons this outfit as the new leader of the Ultimates, the Ultimate Universe's version of the Avengers. Now, while this would be my main choice for the game, I'd also like to see the other different suits from the remainder of the Vision seen throughout the issue, such as the suit within Aunt May's Science Cop Vision, and of course the House of M looking costume in Gwen Stacy's Daily Bugle Vision. All three of these suits look pretty unique, and while we're at it, I didn't include it on this list, but seeing the yellow and green Arachno-Man costume would be pretty funny as well. Number 8. Cosmic Miles Morales. The Cosmic Spider-Man outfit, most notably referred to as Captain Universe, is definitely a fan favorite suit that was mysteriously omitted from Spider-Man PS4. I have no doubt that we're going to see it make an appearance in a true sequel to the first game due to its popularity alone, but it would be really cool to see a new rendition of the Enigma Force as an alternate costume in the Miles Morales video game. Unlike the Cosmic 2099, Cosmic Noir, and Cosmic Ultimate Spider-Man costumes seen in Shattered Dimensions that made their first appearances within that game, Cosmic Miles Morales made its major appearance in issue 5 of Spider-Geddon, where he saved both Superior Spider-Man and Insomniac Spider-Man from Solus, a member of the Inheritors. Of course, the design for Cosmic Spider-Man is pretty similar all across the board, with a few design differences being shown off in Shattered Dimensions. However, the major difference in all of the Captain Universe suits is the exposed mouth portion of the user's costume. Miles' Cosmic suit is the exact same as Peter Parker's, aside from the black and red mask underneath, but I think it would be a worthy inclusion in the game, considering it actually comes from a comic source material. Number 7. The Midtown High suit. While this may not be as exciting of a pick as some other suits already on this list, I feel like it's mandatory for the Miles Morales game to include some sort of origin suit that ties into the actual origin of this universe's version of the character. Just like how we got the wrestler suit in Spider-Man PS4 as a reference back to the origins of Insomniac Spider-Man, we need to get something similar for Miles Morales, and I think the perfect suit would be those civilian clothes that we saw at the ending of the City That Never Sleeps DLC. Having Miles swing around the city in his Midtown High clothes and just a Spider-Man mask may not do much to protect his identity, but at least it would tie back to the very first time we saw this version of Miles take to the streets. Number 6. The Spiderverse Origin Suit, or the Earth 1610 Origin Suit. Alright, I'm gonna cheat here again for a second and talk about a tiebreaker I have, since this list already consists of a bunch of origin suits for Miles Morales. I couldn't decide whether or not I would have preferred the original origin suit from the Ultimate Universe, or the origin suit seen from Into the Spider-Verse, so I decided what the hell and combined them both into a single slot. First up is the Earth 1610 origin suit seen way back when Miles was first created in 2011. This suit is pretty simple, as it's just the exact same suit as Ultimate Peter Parker's Spider-Man suit, but considering how much smaller Miles is, the gloves and boots of the costume don't fit snug against his body. This suit also has elbow and knee pads, which gives it some character. I want this suit in the game just because of how important it is to Miles as a character, plus it's basically just the Ultimate Spider-Man costume, so it would be great to get this alongside the 2005 game model I previously mentioned, just to show all the love for the Ultimate Comics series. When it comes to the origin suit seen in Into the Spider-Verse, I feel like I'd want to see this suit just a tad bit more because of how hilarious it would be to see within the game. This Halloween costume purchased from the Stan Lee store is just a bit too small on Miles, and if you throw a cape on the back to give it some character, you have yourself a really good alternate costume for diehard fans of the Spider-Verse movie. Number 5. The Comic Suit. When I made my ranking video of all the alternate suits in Spider-Man PS4, I ranked the Comic Suit pretty high because of its unique cel-shaded look. It's easily one of the better costumes in the game without a doubt, and I love it a lot, but despite this, there were a few people who criticized me for saying it wasn't truly a comic accurate suit. Of course, the cel shading looked fantastic, but I personally would have loved the suit more if it looked like the Steve Ditko or Todd McFarlane suits, as opposed to being a comic booky looking version of the Insomniac design for the classic suit. These of course are just minor nitpicks, as I have no problem with their decision, and I'd even go far enough to say that I want Insomniac to do the exact same cel shaded rendition of the Miles Morales suit that they have within this game. It's just so visually pleasing to look at a suit that stands apart from the world around it, and I'd be 100% into the idea of them recreating that idea here. But if they want to do some suits referencing comic artists and their styles in this game or in a true sequel instead, I'm totally into that idea as well. Number 4. Shield Spider-Man. Despite being another Peter Parker costume, I think the Shield suit appearing in issue 5 of 2017's Marvel 2-in-1 series would be a fantastic inclusion within the Miles Morales game. While I'm up for seeing either Peter or Miles wear this suit, I think the body type of Miles alongside the red and black color scheme of the costume makes this a better fit for this upcoming game. Much like the new Ben Reilly Scarlet Spider suit, this is definitely one of the more obscure suits that I want to see within a Spider-Man game, no matter what character wears it. So I'm entirely up to the idea for giving another one of Peter's suits to Miles to help expand his alternate suits gallery. Besides, just look at how cool this costume looks. Wouldn't you want to play in it? Number 3. The Marvel Strike Force suit. I haven't ever played Marvel Strike Force, but I have seen the suit that Miles wears within that game, and I honestly think it's one of the coolest costumes he's worn aside from his classic look. Just by looking at the logo, you can tell that this suit was inspired by the suit that he wore at the end of Into the Spiderverse. However, there's a lot more detail within the webbing and lower portion of the suit this time around. You can see a lot more red flowing within the costume, and I think it helps even out the large portions of black. To me, it sort of looks like a fusion between the iconic advanced suit from Spider-Man PS4 and the suit that Miles wears at the end of the Spider-Verse movie thanks to that spray painted on logo. While it wouldn't directly be his own unique version of the advanced suit, it does make me think of what an advanced suit would look like for Miles if he were to receive one. Speaking of which, number 2, his own advanced suit. Now, I'm not talking about Miles receiving his own color-swapped version of the advanced suit, because I don't really want to see Miles running around with a white spider logo like Peter. However, while I was initially hesitant on the idea for the advanced suit for Peter Parker, after seeing the E3 2016 trailer for Spider-Man PS4, I thought that the white spider was out of place on the costume. I did grow into liking the white spider quite a bit. Now, while it wasn't my favorite suit in the first game, the advanced suit was easily one of the better suits in my game because of how unique its design was, because of how much it had to prove, and overall, it just looked really stylish and fit the world around it. I want Insomniac to pull off that risk again and make an advanced version of the Miles Morales suit, but rather than let us wear it throughout the majority of the game, I want it to be given to us at the very end of the game, once Miles has grown into an experienced Spider-Man. It would serve as a proper reward to the player for helping Miles alongside his journey, and it could be introduced in a similar way to the Anti-Ox suit, where it's a necessity needed for the final battle against the bad guy. At the moment, I don't really have any particular designs in mind aside from wanting to see a built-in hoodie on the costume, but I trust Insomniac with their designs if they wanted to go this route and give Miles an advanced suit on top of his classic one. Number 1. The Into the Spiderverse suit. Come on, you knew this had to make the top spot. I'm pretty sure the Spiderverse suit is the number 1 most requested suit on everyone's list for the game, so you knew it was going to be the first on mine as well. I'm combining 2 separate suits here even though they're essentially the same thing, as I want to see both the regular Spiderverse suit seen during Miles' battle against Kingpin, as well as the hoodie suit seen during the What's Up Danger sequence. If I had to choose though, I'd much rather see the hoodie variation of this suit because of how much diverse it is from the remainder of the suits on this list, and how similar the Marvel Strike Force suit is to the hoodie-less variation. Honestly, there's really not much I can say about wanting this suit that you all aren't already thinking. I love Into the Spider-Verse to death, and because it's my favorite movie of all time, I for sure want to swing around the city in this animated alternate suit. I want to recreate the tone of that movie within this game, and it would be an absolute blast to get the chance to see this suit recreated in the game, just like how the Peter Parker Spiderverse suit was adapted in the first game. To me, getting to swing around in the snow with this suit would be like getting the Sam Raimi Spider-Man suit all over again. So yeah, the Spiderverse suit is easily my most anticipated alternate suit in Marvel's Spider-Man Miles Morales. So there we have it everyone, those are my top 15 most anticipated alternate suits that I would love to see in Marvel's Spider-Man Miles Morales. There were a few extra suits thrown in there, but regardless, how many suits from my list do you agree with? What other suits would you like to see in the game? Leave your comments down below and let's have a discussion. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up and share it with all of your friends. I would greatly appreciate it. You should also subscribe to my channel and hit that notification bell if you want to stay up to date on all of my Spider-Man and gaming related content. As always though, thank you all for watching and listening to my thoughts. I hope to see you all around in my next video. But until then, I'll be seeing all of you later. See ya!